Hi, I'm Marc, host and creator of Get to the Joke, a web series that is a masterclass in the art of stand-up comedy. I hope you find today's episode to be both fun and helpful, and you can help me out by subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking the video, and feel free to drop a comment. I'll be happy to get back to you. Alright, well, let's get to the joke. Hi, I'm Marc, a comedian from Philadelphia.
As you can probably imagine how much going on right now. I can tell you the most exciting thing I had going on this week was my buddy called me up. He was like, "Hey Marc, found this cat outside." So I neutered him, gave him his shots, and I rescued this cat. You want to come over and see my cat? Well, I got nothing better to do. I'll drive 45 minutes to come see this cat. Showed this guy's house, cat's not even there. Go, "Dude, where's this cat go?" He goes, "Oh, it's an outdoor cat." Outdoor cat? Let me get this straight, fella. You found a cat outside, cut its balls off, and put it right back outside. Seems like a pretty raw deal for that cat. Story has another turn. This guy has two other cats. They're both house cats. Now how's an outdoor cat feel? It's like, "Oh, outdoor cat, don't be coming in here. See all this food and air conditioning and love? That's not for you. You get right back outside, you outside cat." Now I know how Cooper Manning feels. Nobody. All right. For those who don't know, Cooper Manning is Eli and Peyton Manning's other brother. There's a reason you never heard about Cooper Manning, because nobody cares about Cooper Manning. He's an outdoor cat.
And today's guest is the very talented David James, who it was such an honor to get on this show. I truly blessed that he agreed to come on and really open up about his childhood and his career in stand-up and how he develops jokes. David James is one of the best comics I get to work with, and that's a true understatement, actually. David is not only the original winner of Philly's Phunniest, but he just came out with his own album called Kidnapping Season, which you can purchase by clicking on the link in the show notes to this. He has opened for such talented comics like Greg Giraldo, which we talk about a little bit, Bill Burr, JB Smoove. This was truly a classic episode of Get to the Joke. I appreciate David's candor, his openness to talk about real issues that he has overcome in his life, and just to get to know him on a deeper level. I've always truly enjoyed David as one of the best comics that I get to see on shows, and I think this interview will show that to everybody else. I hope you enjoy this. So let's now get to the episode.
The worst job I used to have was I tried to mentor some juvenile delinquents from Philadelphia, which was a huge mistake. Yeah, so I went to this school. It was basically Hogwarts for thugs. That's basically where it was. And I tried to mentor these kids, right? And I didn't know that all they care about is your car and your shoes, right? And the first day I showed up wearing Skechers, which was a huge mistake. And I've been heckled by adults, but I've never been heckled by criminal children before, right? So it was a weird experience. It was like, "Yo, look at this broke-ass, bald-ass, LeVar Ball-looking bitch up in here. With your whack-ass shoes. Where'd you get your shoes? Foreman Mills, Foreman Mills." All right? And the more I tried to defend myself, the worse it got. I was like, "Hey, I got these on sale." I was like, "Yo, he said he got them on sale." It's like, "I had a coupon." "Yo, he said he had a coupon." I was like, "My grandmother gave me that coupon." "This nigga grandmother gave me the coupon." Right? Now, here's the thing. They don't know I do comedy, right? And keep in mind, they're locked up at this place, so I got to defend myself at this point. And I was like, "Hey, you know what these shoes get to do? What's that, Mr. Dave? Get no bitches? I was like, they get to go home. Yeah. He's like, that's messed up, Mr. Dave. I was like, yeah, maybe you should go tell your dad to try to fight me if you had one. I'm fired? Okay, that makes sense.
Calling David James.
Cool. Hey, what's going on? You can hear me okay?
All right. Can you hear me at all?
You're good on my end. Oh wait, by the way, how are you doing with coronavirus? How are you and your family, friends? You guys are doing okay? Have you got COVID or anything? How are you dealing with COVID right now?
Everybody in my family got COVID, thank God, and they're all dead. No.
This interview is over.
No, I mean, it's like I haven't gotten it. Like I've had 2 friends have gotten it, but like no family.
Good.
Or I should say friends I care about that got. But no. Yeah, I mean, the main effects is basically people trying to avoid things that they used to do that they can't do anymore, or not have any money because all their jobs are gone.
So how are you making out then with no ride sharing and no comedy right now? Like,
I had to go. I was on Instacart for a while.
Okay.
Then I had to go on unemployment, and then I was waiting for proceeds from the album to come in for like online plays like SiriusXM and all that other stuff. But that process apparently doesn't kick in till like September or some shit.
For you, do you remember like the earliest point in your life where you knew you were funny and knew that you could use that for whatever it was in your life that being funny helped you out with?
It was probably that I didn't know that I was funny. I wasn't aware of it, I guess it was like certain things I would say that I guess it maybe kind of shown that my mind thought differently.
Okay.
But it wasn't like I was trying to be the class clown or anything like that. Like I was.
So you were not a class clown?
I was never the funny guy in school.
Really? Were you more quiet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, well.
Like if you were in my friendship group, like my circle of friends, you would know that I was funny.
Okay.
But like if you just knew me as the guy in English class, you would not know that I was funny at all.
Okay. Well, so I read that you were a military kid and moved around a lot. So did you use your humor to make new friends? Since that seemed to be something that you have to do quite often, being the son of a military parent.
Not really. You just kind of get used to the life. Like people who like grew up in military families, like you're just used to moving a lot.
Okay.
So like making new friends and losing friends is just like something that you just go through it, But it wasn't like, I don't think I ever used humor to get new friends.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just, yeah.
Well, no, you had mentioned that.
Like I said, I wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Like when I was mentioning earlier, like I wasn't really aware that like, if they were like voting for funniest person, I would never be like, oh, that's definitely gonna be me. Like I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that's what I mean. I wasn't aware, Like if I got like 3rd place, I'd be like, why the fuck am I in 3rd place? It wasn't even a thing in my mind as far as like being the funny guy. Yeah.
Well then, so where did your sense of humor come from then? So because I read somewhere where you said that your friend said that you had a weird mind, and that is like what kind of got you kind of like, oh, maybe I could do stand up or something like that. What was it that said it was like you had a weird mind? Like what did that mean?
I think that I would, when I was little, apparently I would say things or respond like in an outside of the box kind of way. Like one time my mom was legendary for getting angry and like just cursing us all out, and then she'd like leave the house and say she's abandoning the family, and would be like the first time she'd do it, it's like she's never coming back, and then like she would come back with Burger King because she felt bad or something like that, and we're like we should do this more often, so she comes back with Burger King. We gotta make her flip out. But she got so mad one day she called me a little son of a bitch.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was probably like 8 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then I said, wait, wouldn't that make you a bitch? And then but I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just like, that's just how my mind works, you know. And she like ran into her room. And I thought she was gonna go get like a belt, you know. And so I was just waiting for a beating. And then she just never came out. She just like stayed in her room and she was laughing.
Oh, so okay, so she appreciated
it. Well, I creeped to the door because I was like, why didn't she come out? I'm waiting for the beating, and she's in the room laughing. I put my ear up against the door. Yeah. So I guess that's like, I guess that was a funny thing I said. You know, but for me, I didn't know it was a funny thing.
Yeah. No, okay, because were your parents split up? Your parents split up? Yeah. Okay, because I saw you had mentioned that how you kind of got into comedy was your dad turned you on to Eddie Murphy and Bill Cosby when you went to go visit them. So that's what So did you? Yeah. So are you an only child, or did you have siblings at all?
I had an older sibling. I gotta explain black families. So my mother had her first child, which was my older sister, and then that didn't work out with the father. And then she had my older brother, and that didn't work out with the father. And then she had me, and that didn't work out with the father. Okay. So basically, my 2 older siblings are half, and then my dad got remarried and had 2 more kids. So all my brothers and sisters are half.
So are you close with all of them still, or?
I talk to my younger brother and sister the most.
Okay, so yeah. Would you say that you maybe used humor to kind of diffuse your mom? It sounds like that may have been coming, like maybe that was the first time, and then after that, explain the relationship with you and your mom, maybe. Maybe that helped me better understand. What was it like with you and your mom?
At that time, I was always thinking outside the box, I guess. So that was just how my mind worked in general. So she knew that if she was going to come at me with something, that she had to make sure she strategized it, I guess. Okay. You know? Yeah. So she's like, okay, he's going to have something to say. Yeah. Even if he's not trying to be a smartass, he's just going to have something to say. So I got to have a strategy before I go in and yell at him or whatever it might be. Okay. Well, because my thing was like, why? Like, explain it to me why you're saying this or you're doing this or the punishment. Like most people, they just accept the punishment. Like, I need an explanation of why you thought it was the right thing to go do this. Okay. Kind of thing. So I was that type of kid. So you the first joke I probably ever said. I remember I was in 5th grade and there was this teacher, and the girls set me up at lunch. And so they said, hey, what do you think Mrs. What's her name would look like in a bathing suit? And I said, California Raisin. Because she's old. And she's old and shriveled, so I said she looked like a California Raisin. And so they went and told her I said this, but they're the one who fucking set me up. Like, I never would have said that if they didn't ask me the question. But they didn't tell her that they were going around asking that question. They just said that David said that you would look like a California Raisin in a bathing suit. And so she fucking got pissed at me.
What happened? What'd she do?
I was like, that's not fucking fair. That year was a fucking crazy, man. That was an elementary school where I was the only black kid in my grade.
Oh, wow.
And so usually it was the only black kid in the entire fucking school. But I think I set a record for signing the conduct book. Like, if you did anything, they made you sign a conduct book. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what did he do? It's not like if you sign it 10 times and you get suspended, or it's not like if you sign it 10 times you get a beating. It was just signing the conduct book. You know.
Well, so what? So you weren't a class clown, but you acted out. It seems like. Would that be like, were you troublemaker? If you're signing the conduct book?
No, I was pretty quiet.
Okay.
It was one of those things where, like, I knew it was only black kids, so, like, things were just not going to be quite fair. Yeah. Like, that same year in 5th grade, I remember there was a girl who'd finger herself. And
in what grade?
Long story, 5th grade.
Okay.
It's 5th fucking grade. Yeah, before I knew that was a cool thing to watch. And you know, she'd finger herself, and then like she'd take her fingers out her hand and go, you know, and like she would do this when the teacher had her back or doing something on the board, and she would like make eye contact with me sitting across, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, you know? And they're like, David, it's not a comic book. I was like, she just fucking fingered herself.
Oh my
you
God.
know? And they're like, whatever your black lies, go sign the comic book, you know? And all the other kids be like, no, she's fingering herself. Don't make up lies for him. What is this place? The fucking place was crazy.
Wow. Okay. So we just covered a lot of ground just in these first 5 minutes. I don't even know where. So your entire schooling, you were the only African American kid in your entire school. So what did that? Were you caught with a constant racism all the time?
There was tons of racism. Yeah, it was the first day of kindergarten. They asked me if I colored myself with a crayon.
Jesus.
And so I stopped talking to people because I was like, these fucking white kids are crazy.
Yeah.
And so since I stopped talking to them, they thought I was socially retarded. And so even though I was academically fine,
yeah,
they said that I was socially delayed. So they put me in this class called first grade because I wasn't ready to go to first grade.
Wow.
So pre-first grade is basically an audition for we think you might be retarded, but we're not sure. And so pre-first grade was basically all the legitimate dumb white kids.
Yeah.
And then all the minorities. So it was like me, a girl that was half black, half white. There was like 2 Hispanic kids and like 3 Native Americans, and then like 12 just dumb as fuck white kids.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
I don't mean but like, so wait, why don't you ever talk about this in your act? I don't, is there a reason that you consciously put that to the side? There is like humor in that entire.
I don't know, I've just heard people be like, talking about, you know, like, well, I grew up as the only, you know, black kid, and I guess they picked me first for basketball. You know, it's like, then it's like I think about that and then I get angry, even though that's not where I would go. It's just the thought of it makes me get angry and just not even like go further than what I would do.
Okay. Well, what about violent racism? Was there any violence towards you because of your skin color?
No. I was I guess I was athletic, so like it wasn't like a thing to go try to beat me up or something like that. Like the only person that beat me up was my brother, and then these 2 kids who were like meatheads, and they were like in high school, and I was like maybe like 6th grade or something.
Jesus.
And they were like 11th or 12th, and they just signed up for the Marines and some other shit, and they were just like bullies. And they were just fucking with me one day, like throwing me in the pool and all this other crap. And I remember I got up out of the water. I was like, I'll show you. I'm going to call my cousin. They're like, who's your cousin? I said my cousin's name, and they all started laughing. Then I realized, I'm like, oh, my cousin ain't shit. I was like, my cousin has no name. He has no clout. They laughed when I said my cousin's name.
Well, what would you do? What did you go and tell your parents that, like, hey, they're putting me in a special class because I'm just different than their kids? Like, I'm not like retarded, but like they're.
When you're 5, when you're 5 or 6, you're not aware of that.
Okay.
You know? So it's like apparently my mom fought against it or whatever, but they're like, no, he's socially backwards. But I remember like the pre-first grade teacher tried to make me into a rapist. Like
as a first grader?
There was this girl. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not like a literal rapist, but you understand what I say.
Yeah.
So there was this girl who, at the time, I guess, like, we don't know this as kids, but when you get older, you realize, like, she was poor white trash.
Okay.
So she was like, the kid, like, the parents would send her to school without bathing her and shit like that. Yeah. And I remember she had athlete's foot before I even knew what the fuck that was. And she was like picking at it in the middle of story time, like peeling skin off of her foot. And I was like staring, like, what the fuck is that? And then the teacher goes, David, stop staring at her legs and like sexualizing her.
Jesus.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then she like wrote me up and sent me to the principal's office. She said I was like being like a sexual predator.
Oh my God. And you're in first grade. That's not even a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. 6 years old.
Jesus.
6 years old, a rapist. Yeah.
So
I started to understand then, it's like, as much as that mind can understand at that age, that, oh, this is because I'm black.
Yeah. Tell me your relationship with school, and the fact that you had a legitimate job after, like, you went to college, had a legitimate, pretty decent job, and.
Well, it's elementary school is like school didn't get like easier until seventh grade. That's it. But then that's because I moved away from Texas.
Oh, this is all in Texas. Okay.
Yeah, so this is all in Texas. So school got a lot better in sixth grade because I went from that elementary school to a middle school.
Yeah.
So that's when things started getting better, and then things got dramatically better when I moved away from Texas in seventh grade.
Okay.
But being in Texas in elementary school, it was shit I had to deal with every single fucking year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was there racism outside of school?
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Things like, yeah, I mean, like, but they were associated with school, if that makes sense. So, like,
okay.
I remember there was like a birthday party in fifth grade, I want to say, and everybody's like dancing with each other, but I wasn't allowed to dance with anybody.
Oh my God.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like going to a segregated prom. Yeah. The only time in there. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go fucking do the foxtrot with the other black kids. It's just like, oh, I'm just gonna go play. So what I ended up doing, I just went outside and had a basketball hoop, and I just like shot hoops by myself during the dance. And I waited until the dance was over so I could go home.
So, I mean, like, so there wasn't, like, adult racism. Like, you didn't see, like, adults just being, like, super mean and just, like, or condescending or just, like...
Only one kid's parent I knew were racist, but he told me that.
Oh, okay.
So, like, there was this kid, he was really small. He's always a small kid. And he wanted me to... he felt bad, like, it's a long story short, but my sister had committed suicide when I was in fifth grade. So he had felt bad and like wrote me a letter. He was like the only kid that wrote me like a letter saying like, "Hey, sorry for this" or whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
And then he invited me to go hang out at his house. But he lived in a trailer park, and it was also the type of trailer park that on the way there, I'd been there before because my Native American friend lived there. So I had two Native American friends, and they both lived in a trailer park, and they were the closest thing I had to black friends. So we all hung out together. So I was familiar with this trailer park, but the white kid also lived in a different part of that trailer park, but I always remember there were so many dead cats, like, on the way to the trailer park. Like, just fucking, you would just see, like, 8 dead cats on the road on the way to the fucking trailer park. Yeah, hilarious. And I remember he had a pool, or like it wasn't, I don't think it was an underground pool, but it was a gigantic above-ground pool, like, big.
Yeah.
And, I remember he told me, he's like, yeah, my dad wasn't that happy when I told him you were coming by or whatever, you know.
Shit.
But, like, his dad was never like, yeah, you're bigger boy. My friend just told me about it, but, like, his parents weren't mean to me at all or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess they just had reservations.
Yeah, that's still that's still crazy. So with just all this unfairness growing up, I mean, until I guess, like, but it's still like your formative years that you're in Texas and you're getting unfairly treated. How do you adjust now? Like right now you're not angry, or at least I don't ever picture you being angry, or you're not like, you know, what is it that makes you like that did you somehow like work through all that crap that happened to you when you were little, or or just you saw the bullshit in it?
It was just shit that happened. It wasn't like civil rights stuff, you know. Like,
but still, it's kind of.
People are protesting when I know what I'm saying. Like, in my head, that's how I'm like, you know, I guess I'm not trying to rationalize why I'm not like traumatized by it. I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know, because I'm like, you know, way worse stuff happened racially.
Yeah.
You know, than I guess can really had fuck with people.
I know, but still, like that was not the childhood I had, you know. So it's like. I mean, not that way, but
there's two sides to it. How I guess when something like this comes up, it's like okay, of course there's always going to be somebody worse that's experienced the same thing that you're complaining about, but it doesn't mean that didn't affect you. I guess I guess what I'm trying to say. It's like you can't discount how that affected somebody, right? So it's like, okay, if someone finger banged me as a kid, you know. And of course, there's going to be a kid who got fucked. Yeah. You know? So, of course, the kid who got fucked is always going to be champion when it comes to the trauma. He's going to be the champion of trauma.
Yeah.
You know? but it doesn't mean that you can't listen to the kid that got finger bangs.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm trying to put it.
Yeah.
It's like it's like maybe I would have been more traumatized if it was worse kind of thing.
So
I guess if that makes sense.
So you also dropped the fact that your sister committed suicide. Now, how old were you when this happened? Young, because you were still in Texas.
I was in 5th grade, so like 11, something like that.
Was she living with you, or was she like somewhere else at that time?
No, she was living with a boyfriend. Like I want to say apparently she was closer to the city. Like we were in the suburbs of Houston.
Okay, so
so she was like out of the nest. She was 23, I was it.
What was your relationship with her? Because so you were younger, she was 23. Did you guys have a relationship? Was it a good relationship? Was it just like friends almost? What was it like?
I mean, as much as you can with that big of an age difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did she take care of you at all?
So it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like when there's that big of an age difference, that oldest sibling ends up being like a pseudo dad or mom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if my mom was working, like my oldest sister was like making dinner or whatever it might be, or like, if we didn't have any money for Christmas presents or birthday presents, like she would go get something for me.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Or my brother. So it's like, I knew the present was from her.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, even though it has like mom's name on it or something like that.
Okay, so she sounds like a really sweet person, and then what was the reason for this? Was she depressed? Was it something just? Was it like I don't know? Was it depression? Was it something else?
I think there's depression that runs on the side of the family.
Okay.
Also, I mean, I don't know if she had someone that she talked to, like a best friend or anything like that. Like I was too little to really know much, and plus they shield you from things. Like I wasn't allowed to watch the news for a week just in case it was on the news or something like that.
Yeah.
So so they like shield you from a lot of that stuff.
But so what was that like then?
Like,
when you found out she committed suicide, what was it like for you? Was there like therapy? Was there like consoling? Was there just like distancing? Like what was it like? I mean,
no, there was no therapy whatsoever. No.
Okay. Not even the school guidance counselor.
Basically.
Okay.
No.
That's crazy.
You basically like, you take the time off of school, you do the traveling, you do the funeral, all that stuff, and then you just come back and you're just back in school.
So.
But there was no counseling or anything like that. No.
I mean,
I don't even know if we had a school counselor. That's a good question.
So you had like a pseudo mother figure in your life, and then I mean, she didn't just die; she committed suicide. Did that change you in any way? I mean, did that make you more withdrawn? Did you get closer to your family as a result of that? Was there any, or was it just like let's brush under the rug and keep living?
I think my older cousins told me that they saw like a change in me after that. Maybe it was like I wasn't a little boy anymore, kind of thing.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like you're in little boy world. You're like, oh, here's my Christmas list, even though I know we have no money and we ain't getting shit.
Yeah.
So it's like this is what I want for my birthday. But then like something like that happens, and then it's just like, oh fuck, the world is real, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would say it was the last time I cried. Yeah, that was the last time I cried.
Do you go? I'm assuming she's probably buried in Texas. Do you go down there at all? Or if you're in Texas, do you make a trip to make sure?
Actually, we went to Kentucky because that's where my mom's family's from.
Okay.
So we went from Houston to Kentucky, and that's where she's buried at. But
okay.
Yeah, I remember like the wake was a big thing because I'd never seen a dead body before.
Oh wow. Okay.
And no one prepared me for that.
Wow.
So it was like a freak out. It was like a freak out thing and a reality thing where it's like, oh, she's definitely dead, and that's also what a dead body looks like.
Yeah.
So it was like
that's
a
nuts.
combination where you just fucking lose your shit.
Yeah. That's nuts.
And then, but then by the funeral, I was the wake was more devastating for me than the funeral. The wake was way worse for me than the funeral because I guess the funeral I had time to process it, and I was like, okay, this is a real kind of thing. Yeah. So I cried, but I wasn't like losing my shit like I was at the wake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I is the stereotype that all comedians are fucked up, what would you say about that stereotype?
Oh yeah, I always expect when you talk to kids that something wrong. It's just like
Because this, I mean, I'm hearing a
Yeah,
whole bunch of things, and it just seems like that. Now, who did you have a better relationship with? Your mother or your sister? The sister that we're just talking about.
Well, it's not like a better relationship kind of thing. It's just like my sister was gone at such a young age that, like, there's just a shorter time span.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I've known my mother my entire life, or it's like my
Yeah.
sister, like that relationship was gone by like 5th grade.
Okay. But you had mentioned
So,
like your mom would
it's
have
kind
like
of like
these.
a different thing where it's not like.
No, I was gonna say because you had mentioned like your mom will have like these fits, let's call them, and so I didn't know what your relationship was like with her, and if maybe your sister stepped in to kind of be the more nurturing, like your mother provided, but your sister was more like the motherly kind of what you read in books about kind of thing.
She wasn't like come and give you hugs type of sister.
Okay. Yeah.
She was more like she'll like make you do like she wasn't like gonna teach you how to ride a bike type of sister.
Yeah. Okay.
It was more like a take care of what needs to be taken care of. Cook if mom's not around. Like make sure you had something for Christmas or birthday type of sister. Like she wasn't like a come and sit with me kind of sister. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also, I mean, there was a huge age difference also.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So like yeah, but also it's like I had also moved away from living with my mother 2 years after that.
Why?
So I wasn't living with we were in Denver, Colorado, and then I was living with her, and then I went to go visit my dad that summer, and then I decided to stay with my dad, and my mom had her own circumstances going on at that time, so it was kind of like a perfect, I guess, balance of she couldn't really have me, and also I decided to kind of go stay with my dad.
Okay. So what was that like then?
That was a weird thing because like I visited my dad, but like you don't like and like spent some weeks or whatever, but like you never like lived with that person, so you don't really know what it's like.
Yeah.
And my dad had been remarried, and they just like had their first kid, which my sister's about 1 year old at that time.
Okay.
And so it's like living with dad, being around your stepmother, and you got like a new sister kind of thing. So it's like a big transition. But I also immediately knew probably within a week that I was not welcome there.
Why?
My stepmother did not want any part.
Just because you were not her kid?
Yeah. But I guess my dad was overruling the situation.
Yeah.
I guess he had veto power, or whatever you want to say. So, but I mean, it was made known that I was not welcome there. Yeah.
So what was your childhood like? Because I'm hearing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm hearing you live with a mom, and I still don't maybe understand what your relationship with her was like, whether she was like a motherly figure or whether it was kind of like you didn't know one day to the next how she was going to be. You had a sister that commits suicide that you were close to. You have racist school system. It sounds like you grew up poor based on what you're saying with your Christmas situation. Your dad's family, even they didn't want you there, and now you're there because he said so. So who knows what that vibe's like. So what was your childhood like, if you had to package it up?
I don't think I really had like a good time until probably like 7th grade, but we had moved to Denver by then. So like, it was a whole new scene, there's other minorities there, so that whole race thing isn't really like as prominent, and like, there's no baggage from all the stuff that happened previously, in Texas. So it's like they don't know about the girl finger banging herself. They don't know about the racist teachers. So it's like a clean slate kind of thing.
Okay.
So I started getting a lot happier probably around then, just because you're spending most of your hours in school.
Yeah, but still, you went home and there's a woman there that is hostile to you. What did she do? Just be cold to you? Or would she actively try to manipulate you in negative ways?
Well, in 6th grade, I was in Texas. 7th grade, I moved to Denver with my mom. And then in 8th grade is when I moved in with my dad in Virginia.
Okay.
By Fort Belvoir.
Okay.
So that's when I moved in with my dad and my stepmom.
Okay.
So it was like I remember we went to, I was heavily into comic books. I used to like read comic books and draw comic books like constantly.
Yeah.
So we went to the PX, which is the equivalent of an Army Walmart.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So it's on base, and it's basically like an Army Walmart.
Okay.
So I think my dad had been giving me an allowance at that time. It was like $20 a week, but like that $20 means like if I wanted to go to movies, I had to use that money.
Yeah.
If I needed I had to go buy my own toothpaste, things like that. Like it wasn't like provided for me.
Oh wow.
So that $20 wasn't like a real $20 to do whatever you want with it. That you'd be like, oh, I need toothpaste. I gotta go use this $20. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
So my dad was still training at Harvard at that point. And so he wasn't gonna be back with us until maybe 2 months later or something like that. Probably when the school year started. And so it was basically me, my stepmother, and my little sister for a little while, maybe like 6 weeks or something like that. And but I remember, like I said, we went to PX, the military Walmart, and I had just forgotten my $20 bill at home.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, do you mind if I borrow like $5 to buy this comic book, and I'll give you $5 when we get back? And she flipped out, like lost her shit, like fucking like, you don't ask me for nothing. I don't want you here. You know, you don't like belong here. You don't ask me from anything. Like losing her shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's clear now.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. So
you,
like that's when I realized, I was like, oh, well, this isn't going to be a fairy tale.
Were you comfortable telling your dad that his wife is just being overly mean to you for little to no reason?
It was just kind of like an unspoken, that's just the way it is kind of thing. And that's just how it went.
Wow.
You know?
So, I mean, so what you said earlier is right. You were never a boy. You never were a kid. You were an adult male from a very young age. You had to look out for yourself. You were responsible for yourself and for your well-being. Is that accurate?
Not completely accurate.
Okay.
I mean, like I had cousins and stuff, you know, but I mean, like I had to mentally grow up faster, I guess, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So like at that point, like when I moved in with my dad and my stepmother, I kind of went to okay, I'm in this situation, but you know, we've been evicted before and like bounced around, living with my aunt and some other things. So it's like, I was like, I got a stable house. I have a bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, like my dad goes grocery shopping, you know, so it's just like, all right, I'm just going to stick this out, but I'm also going to show that nothing will hurt me.
Okay.
So I showed no emotion. I showed that nothing got to me pretty much. I just basically just like, you know, whatever's going to happen, like, I'm not going to fucking show any emotion towards it. Like, the only time I did was something happened wherever, and I just got sick of a lot of this shit. And I think we were on the way to church, and I just got out the car, and I was like, fuck this, I'm just walking somewhere else. And my dad was like yelling at me to get back in the car. Yeah, but like after that, but that was like within a couple of months of living there. But like after that, like I was like, I'm not showing any emotion. I'm not showing, you know, that any of this, whatever potential, whatever was gonna get to me. Like it would be like stuff where like, you know, they'd be like trying to tell my younger brother and sister not to talk to me because I'm not their real brother, things like that. Jeez. Or like, you know, they would go get dinner and I wasn't allowed to have it. Like I had to go get my own kind of thing.
Oh my God.
And then I had to go do their dishes. And then I would have to go do their dishes afterwards.
Dude, you're like Cinderella.
Like, we're gonna have this food. Yeah.
You're like a black male Cinderella. I mean, that's unbelievable. First of all, thank you for sharing that. First of all, thank you for sharing that.
That's my OnlyFans. That's my OnlyFans character.
Well, so you just said it. I'm emotionally just gonna shut down. And you had mentioned the last time you cried was at your sister's funeral, which is when you were a young kid. Have you been more emotional now that you're an adult, or are you still like? Have you see this still ripple effects even as you get older, like this no emotion thing?
It's completely a character flaw now.
Okay.
Completely a character.
Which is crazy because you're like one of the nicest guys I know.
Well, my friends that really know me,
Yeah.
like, they'll be like, "Oh, I thought oh, we just thought like you don't care about anything, or you just don't have any emotions," kind of thing like that. Or it's like, I do, I just don't have emotions like the rest of you do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's like, if something happens, like I'm able to roll it off my shoulder really quickly, or not even let it hit me at all.
Okay. So is
So
comedy
like,
your outlet?
But it's not. But
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
not really.
Okay.
I think comedy just came across as something where like my friends who knew me thought I was funny, and they were like, "Oh, maybe you should try it," or something like that, because they knew, like, I guess my mind thought differently,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So I saw this,
You know.
and this is one of my questions. Is I want to know if you can remember what was the time, whether it clicked in your head that you want to get on stage. Because I saw that your first time was at the Laugh House. You were kind of sick of the 9-to-5 job. Your friends were saying, you had a weird mind that you were funny, but you were doing comic books at this time. All that stuff doesn't mean that you want to do comedy, So what was it that were like, I want to get, you could have done anything else. You could have gone to radio, you could have done writing, you could have done anything else. But what was it like, maybe I should get on a stage in front of a whole bunch of people and tell jokes at the Laugh House? What do you remember the minute where you're like, I kind of want to do this?
Well, before that, I realized that I understood comedy at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was watching, I remember shows I would watch. I'd watch Benny Hill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And this is all stuff I was doing by myself. Yeah, like I was doing it by myself. Like, none of my cousins or anybody else was into it except for me.
Yeah.
But I understood why Benny Hill was funny. And sure, it had the pretty girls and all that, but I understood why it was funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I was watching Eddie Murphy and Bill Cosby, like, these are like VHS tapes I would watch when I was visiting my dad, and he was on base working, and I'm at the house by myself. Like, I wasn't watching it with my brother. I wasn't watching it with my dad. It was something I just discovered and watched on myself. But even though I shouldn't have been watching it, but I understood the comedy of it.
Okay.
Like Married with Children, I used to love that show because I understood the comedy of it.
Yeah.
So there were but I was doing these things at a young age because everybody else was older than me, so I had to do most of the stuff by myself.
Yeah.
So all my cousins and brothers and sisters were way older than me, so I had to do a lot of things for myself. So anyway, I understood comedy at a young age and why things were funny.
Okay.
So I think that was the first thing. Like, not a lot of people. The only shows that we watched as a family, comedy-wise, that I remember was probably Robert Townsend specials.
Okay.
And In Living Color.
Okay.
Like, if it wasn't those two things, I was watching comedy by myself.
Okay.
So anyway, I understood it. So I think when I got older, a lot of my friends that were close to me, like, if you were a close friend, you would know I was funny.
Yeah.
But only if you were a close friend. If you were just someone else in my high school that I didn't hang out with on a regular, you would have no idea I was funny or not.
Okay.
So some of my friends like, oh, you should go try stand-up or comedy or something. So I just looked. I can't even remember how I figured out what the Laugh House was.
Yeah.
Maybe I had looked it up or something, and I just went and waited in line. Because, like, when you're talking about what about writing, what about film or anything like that, it's like, back then, you were like, there was no YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like, you didn't know that you could do other things. There was no Twitter. You didn't know there were no other outlets.
Yeah. But what got you on that
So-
stage? What did you think would be a good idea for you to tell jokes versus maybe I'll just do a blog, or maybe I'll just do a podcast, or I'll write for
That's the thing,
somebody?
like, back then, like there were no other outlets.
Okay.
Like the only other outlet was like, I heard Sirius XM, but like Howard Stern wasn't quite on there maybe yet.
Okay.
Like the only thing I knew was like, I didn't know who Howard Stern was. Like my friend and my freshman college roommate introduced me to Howard Stern. So like, I didn't know there was like talk radio, that funny kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I remember in DC, they had a local radio station that we would listen to in the morning. They would do skits and things like that on it.
Yeah.
And we would laugh, but like, I wouldn't know how to go get into that or get involved.
Okay.
But I think I just looked up an open mic somehow. Maybe I looked up on the internet or something, and then I just started going every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, cool. I'm glad you talk about that. Now, so the meat and potatoes of this is your writing. And I would say that if they did a Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia comedians right now, I would say you clearly would be on there because of your writing and your performing. So I'm very intrigued to know how you do this. So if you can, how you capture an idea, how you capture that in writing, if you do write it, how you edit, how you figure out, what's going to get on stage and what's not, how you work it out on stage, and then how you go back afterwards, and then when it's a done joke. If you can kind of guide me through a whole timeline, the whole life cycle of one of your jokes, in general, from thought to the video clip or your album, let's say.
Yeah. For me, like, coming up with new ideas, like, especially right now, it's almost a complete waste of my time. Not a complete waste of my time, but as far as how my mind works as far as getting something new.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one of those people that's just going to write down pages and pages in a notepad.
Okay.
Like, some people can do that. They write down jokes and bits and they just have it all written out. But, like, me, it's like, I need the feedback. Otherwise, it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
It's like, so for me, it's like, it's really hard for people, I guess, that write like me, because it's like, if I don't have the feedback from the audience, it's like, I don't know if this is going to work or not. So it's like, and it's almost, I get frustrated. I'm like, why am I fucking editing this thing that I don't even know if it works to begin with? So it's like I have to try it somewhere.
But is it all just in your head?
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I have an idea, and then I'll try to put it in a voice recorder so I won't forget it.
Okay.
I'll constantly have something I think it's hilarious, and then I'll put it in a voice recorder. I'll be like, I'll do it later.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone sends you a text, you're like, I'll text them back later, and then you forget to. It's like the same thing with a joke idea. If I was like, fuck, man, that thing was really funny, but I have no idea what the fuck it was about. And it's just gone into oblivion somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll use a voice recorder, and then I'll try to use Google Notes. I think it's called Google Keep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically like a notepad, and I'll kind of put it in there as a category, and then sometimes I'll try to do like an outline. So I have a category, and then I'll have like the basic ideas underneath it as far as an outline.
Okay.
And then I'll try to go like, microphones, and then there's 3 different categories of things I want to talk about microphones.
Okay.
And so let's say I try it out on stage, and either the idea completely doesn't work, or let's say 3 of the 5 bullet points work and the other 2 don't.
Okay.
In that category.
Okay.
So then I'll kind of scratch those out, and then I'll try to like expand on the bullet points that actually did work.
Right away though, like you'll just try it once, and then if it doesn't work the one time, you'll scratch it.
Sometimes like you just know as soon as it comes out of your mouth.
Okay.
Like no matter if it's good, and no matter if it's a good crowd or a bad crowd, you just know like I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
It's like that sucks. Sometimes the crowd sucks. But like sometimes for me, sometimes I can't really know something sucks until it comes out of my mouth. But as soon as the words come out of my mouth, I can see it trailing. I'm like, that fucking sucks. I see it just going. I'm just like looking at it. I'm just like, fuck you. I'm just like looking at it. But I don't see it until it comes out of my mouth, like in front of an audience.
So you record every single set of yours then?
No. It's like if I'm working on something new,
yeah,
then I'll do some mics and do some shows or whatever, and I'll try that idea, and then afterwards I'll scratch out what worked, what didn't, and then try to expand on it.
Right away, like as soon as you get off the stage, you'll just start you'll go to like a booth and start writing. Okay.
Yeah, or if I'm somewhere, sometimes I might wait till I get home, or I might talk to myself on the way home from the drive.
Okay. And
kind of work it out, and then when I get home, I'll put it on the notepad, or I'll put it on usually my phone 99% of the time of what went wrong, I guess you can kind of say.
Okay.
And what went right.
Okay, yeah. So everything is in your phone. You have no notebooks. You don't keep any notes. You don't have any computer. You don't write anything on the computer. Wow, because that's almost unbelievable, because you're almost like freaking like Joe Frazier up there with your jokes, because you'll just keep punching and punching with punchlines. Like, how do you not write that down? How is that all is that just in your phone? You just write all those punchlines are in your phone, like the sign up list and the waiting and that's, or do you just remember it?
If I'm developing it, then it's kind of like that. But that particular, if I'm doing a rant, then it changes like all the time.
Okay.
Like it changes up. Like, yeah. So like when you're talking about is a joke done, I was like, a lot of my jokes aren't really ever done because I'll change something or I'll add something to it, or I'll be like, it's not getting the response I want.
Okay.
So I'll be like, let me just rewrite the whole thing,
Yeah.
Or a lot of times it's like, figuring out the order of things or just figuring out a different description, Like there was a bit I did. I was talking about what is it? Long ass wieners. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make fun of female comics who go up there and talk about their good coochie, and to basically pander to the women in the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, what's up, ladies with the good coochie? And all the ladies like, yeah. I was like, it's scientifically impossible for all of you to participate in the good coochie, response. Like, there cannot be 100% good coochies in here. It's scientifically impossible. It's like, you're liars. So that's like where like my mind started, and then it goes off to all the other tangents, like scientifically impossible. Like, where's the people who are honest about, raising their hands to admit that theirs is, below average, and then it goes into like, like I can't do that as a man, going up there like asking all the guys who got some good ass wieners, and so it's just like a snowball effect where it starts off with something that fucking annoys me.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to prove to everybody that they should be on my side about this topic and about my opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like where the ranting kind of thing goes.
Yeah. I mean, so your whole hour is mostly punchlines. I would say, if any comedian I know, you're the pie chart of what is funny versus like setups is hugely skewed to the punchline side, I'm trying to get it in your head, or try to get into your mind to figure out how you can capture all that, because each joke has so much contained into it. So let's say you do let's say you do your hour set, and let's say like in minute 14 you throw like a new line out. How do you, and it kills. It kills. How do you remember at the end of your set, when you do the other 46 minutes, that new line, like, how do you capture that? And you just don't forget it? Is it just the way your mind works, that you single out that line?
It's kind of like if it hits a certain way, or if like it's something I haven't said before, then I'm going to remember it no matter what.
Wow.
Just because it's something that I haven't said before. Or sometimes like if I am ranting and like improving, kind of like off of something that already works, but I'm improving more just because I see that they're going with it. So sometimes I'll just start to improv more. Like when you're mentioning like, you sign up for open mic and, you go to your first open mic, you get kicked off the stage and blah, blah, blah. You're that type of stupid thing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing that and I see that they're really into it, I just might add something off the top of my head. That's like, and then that's another part.
Okay.
I replace something else that wasn't as funny, kind of thing.
Okay.
So if like an audience is like really going with something, then I will kind of improv more. Yeah, and kind of see if I can think of something off the top of my head that's funnier than what is already existing.
So you trust your mind to remember your whole act and remember what's funny and what's not funny without ever recording anything. But there is something in you that once you are done with your set, you will run to your phone and type in new stuff or something that you may have done because you're afraid that you might forget it. Is that correct?
Yeah. If I'm afraid I might forget it, or if I'm like, okay, I just made that bit better when I've been saying this bit 200 times in a row the same way, and then I just changed it. Now those 200 times are done. Okay. Now it's a whole new way of saying it. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing comedy for?
I started in 2005 when I was that.
Okay, so about 15 years, and it's been the same way this entire time. You've never written anything down. It's always been like this.
I had notebooks when I first started.
Okay.
And then the composition notebooks like everybody else has.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also had notepads.
Okay.
And then I think it just gradually started transitioning to using my phone to put in ideas and voice recordings. Like I probably have like 40 minutes of ideas and voice recordings on my phone right now.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just making me sit down and like go through them, and like sometimes I listen back to them like, oh, I was drunk. It's 4:00 in the morning. It's stupid.
So, well,
I'm deleting it. I'm like, that's a fucking dumb idea.
So that's a great question.
So it's like go
ahead.
It's kind of like picking, the cream of the crop from the voice recordings, and then taking those cream of the crops to the notepad on the phone to do bullet points and outlines, and then goes to take that cream of the crop and take that to stage.
Okay, so you do sit down and listen to your recordings and make bullet points on paper or in your Google Notes, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
It's
often?
extremely painful.
Yeah, trust. I know. How often do you do that in a week's time? How often are you sitting down, doing recordings, getting new ideas, maybe writing some stuff down?
I would say during the quarantine, I probably have done that for an hour. Total. Because it's just like, there's nothing. I have nothing to fucking do. Like, there's no, like, you get some private requests, but it's just like some weird shit.
Yeah.
Where they want you to drive like 2.5 hours, and they don't want to pay you, or they're just going to pick the cheapest comic they can. I'm just like, well, go fucking pick the cheap guy. Like, it's not going to be good.
And who did produce your album?
They got Helium Records.
Okay.
So basically, the money goes through
That's right.
the production costs before you see any money.
Okay.
Yeah, so you really don't get any money except for like online plays, really, like Sirius XM and all that. That's where the money comes in.
Oh, okay. And so is your album on Sirius XM? Or are you trying to get it on there?
They're playing tracks. Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, they have tracks.
Oh, where can we hear that then? Where can I hear it? On Raw Dog?
I think it's on the Kevin Hart channel and some other channels.
Awesome.
But, I have to go on this thing called like Sound Exchange, and I have to claim every track that I'm on, and then they have to go into their matrix and see how many times they played each of those tracks, and then verify that it is actually me, and then verify the accounts and all that other shit, and then start putting money into, I guess, my account from there.
Well, how does that work then with SiriusXM? Because like, let's say I hear your track on there, I go, oh my god, that is the funniest joke I've heard in my entire life, and then it's gone. Like it's not like it's Netflix where I can hit the like button on the radio. Like how if the people like your joke, it should be in the rotation more frequently, right? Is there a way for them to figure that out, or is it just
maybe? I don't know. I actually have no idea. I don't know if it's like
there's a flaw in
and
the
also
system.
like everyone is short staffed for everything. So like when I'm like trying to ask questions about stuff, they're like, oh, well, everything's delayed because they're short staffed. They have like a third of the people working on stuff that they used to. And used to be able to call in and be like, hey, how many times have you guys played this track? And they would tell you immediately. Or now they just like, oh, we don't have that guy anymore. So like, that's why like, because people will be like hyped about the album and stuff, and I'm just like, whatever. Like, what are you whatever about? I'm like, nothing matters. That's why.
And I guess you're barred from putting it on YouTube and trying to monetize it on YouTube because it's probably owed to these other places, right? Are you allowed to put it on YouTube and see if you can monetize? Because I know Chip's album is on YouTube. It's not a video, but just like the tracks with like his CD cover as the picture.
Well, that's probably his first album.
Yeah.
His first album, he used a buddy of his who does audio engineering.
Okay.
And so basically, Chip paid him a flat fee, and then basically Chip can do whatever he wants with it.
Okay.
So it's like, since I went through Helium Records, it's like you're going through a record company. It's like, it's like, it's yours, but like it's also theirs.
Yeah.
So like it's like if I want to put it somewhere, it's like it's not like a big hassle, but it's like I got to check, to make sure that it's not going to cross-interfere with something that something else they're promoting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. If you did another album, would you do the flat fee and then you owned it outright, or would you go through another record company again if you did another one?
I don't know. I mean, I know like I worked with Rich Voss. He's notoriously cheaper guy, but he told me,
yes, he is.
Well, actually, what he does is he'll use a lav that he'll put into a digital recorder that's in his back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, his albums, from what he told me before, I guess I don't know if it's his latest albums or not, but his previous ones, he said like, yeah, it's just a lav that I have for my shirt, and it's back into a digital recorder. And then I make that recording, and he like spruces it up, and then sells it to Sirius XM.
Okay.
So he's like, so basically, I have 100% control except for the money that I give to the engineer.
Okay. Oh, cool.
So everybody else has like, Mike's here,
Yeah.
Mike there, like the mic goes into the soundboard, like that's what everybody else is doing. The boss is like, no, I just use a lot.
Hey, if that works, that works.
But then there's a guy who Pat House works with, and Pat was telling me that like he brings all of his own equipment and he mics up the room. He like puts in things into the soundboard himself, and then that's how he does it. So like people do it their own ways. Like I think I would probably spend the time to get technical savvy enough to do it myself.
Okay.
And then like maybe send it to like an engineer I know or something like that.
Okay.
Just to clean it up. But I think probably in the future, like, I would probably study, get technically savvy to be able to do it myself.
Okay, cool. Cool, man. Well, I do want to talk about your album a little bit, and I want to be respectful of your time as well. I want to go down the same path, but if you can be a little more specific with, like, maybe, just so I can just be there, almost as if I was, like, with you when you were doing these jokes. So, like, for the college is a scam joke.
Yeah. I'm broke because I have a college degree that's pretty much worthless. Anybody else got one of those in here? Yeah? Worthless college degree? Yeah, do you guys agree with me that college universities are the biggest ripoff in America right now? Anybody else agree with me on that? Right, with the student loan system? Yeah. And the Democrats, they want college to be free, but I don't think any lesbian experience should be free. But, it's ridiculous. They shouldn't be free, right? But here's how they rip you off. The degree shouldn't cost the same. That's how you fix the system, right? An engineering degree shouldn't cost the same as an English degree, right? Because they're not worth the same, right? This is how it should go. It should be like, I want to be an engineer. That's $75,000 a year. What else you got? Well, I'm looking in the clearance rack over here. We got liberal arts, English, and social work for $1,000 a year. You want one of those? Yeah, take one of those. Right? That's fair, you know what I mean? Yeah, because nobody else can do that business practice and actually stay in business, right? Like you couldn't go to Best Buy tomorrow and be like, hey, how much is that iPad? $1,000. How much is that Etch-a-Sketch? $1,000. Sure do like red. And knobs. Think I'll take the Etch-a-Sketch. Now your dumbass is walking out of Best Buy with $1,000 Etch-a-Sketch, right? It's exactly what an English degree is. Yeah, they should at least give you a warning on your graduation day. Your degree isn't going to be worth anything, right? Like as soon as you walk across the stage, you get your diploma, like, oh, Mr. James here, huh? Modern dance. Alcoholism, enterprise rent a car system manager. Get the hell out.
And can you walk me through what happened that you were like, this is a joke with the degrees? Because you do a great job with you bring in the clearance rack tag and you bring in you etch and sketch, like it's a great analogy, and then you circle it back to the English degree, which you mentioned in the clearance rack portion of the joke. So like it's a very well layered joke. And so can you walk me through like where did the idea that this was a joke, and then how did you process it in your mind to the stage?
I think that joke just started off as like so many people having student loans, and then basically getting jobs that do not have a pay that's equal to being able to pay back that student loan.
Yeah.
And so, how many people are in that situation year after year and nothing has changed about it, or people keep on just walking into the same. It's a Charlie Brown football thing, you know? Or it's just like you just keep on doing that over and over again. It's like why, But it's just like you gotta go to college, and it's just like, do you, So,
was this your experience? Did you have student loans?
I didn't have.
And then this was just
I did, but I didn't have like drastic student loans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was supposed to be paying them, but my family pressured my dad into paying them.
Oh, well, good for you. I mean, however you got rid of them, you get rid of them. It doesn't. So then, where did you get clearance rack? How did that come into play a joke?
You mean
Like, because you make fun of the degrees.
Like for the degrees?
Yeah, because people start
I
laughing.
basically started looking at like, yeah, because like I was trying to equate it to like, okay, if your student loan should be equal to what your degree's worth.
Yeah.
You know, or even not even your student loan, just your tuition, whatever your cost is going to be, should be equal to what your degree is worth. Like you can't charge somebody for, a Mongolian arts degree, versus someone who got like a biochemical engineering degree. It's like these people are not going to be living the same lives, but you just charge them the same amount.
Yep. So, but you specifically mentioned English. You mentioned social work. You mentioned two very popular degrees. So how do you do it where you have the finesse, where like you're calling them out, but you're not insulting them? People who have those degrees are openly laughing with you. They don't feel like that you're insulting them. Was those the degrees that you came up like? Were those when you started that joke on day one? Were those the degrees you picked, or just doing it many times? Those were the two that worked the best.
It's funny. English degree, people get offended that I have English degrees. Social workers laugh their asses off. Teachers laugh their asses off. Fucking English people. I used to hammer it way more than that.
Yeah.
I used to be like, America's the only country where you can get a degree in the language you speak and people are impressed.
Well, why'd you stop doing that?
Like, people, it hurt too much. Because I was just like, it's like if you met a guy from Russia, and he's like, oh, I have a degree in Russian. Like, what? Aren't you from fucking Russia? It's like, shouldn't you be like studying hacking or some shit?
But
could you hear me? Because I think I lost you for a second.
Oh no, I can hear you fine. Sorry, I can hear you fine. And then walk me through how you got iPad Etch and Sketch. Was that something that was part of the joke when you first had it in your head? Or was that like a year after you've been telling the joke, you like walk by an Etch and Sketch or like, oh, I can do an analogy with this on an iPad? Where'd you get Etch and Sketch?
It was basically trying to show how ridiculous the differences are as far as what they're worth, but you're going to charge the same amount.
But where'd you get iPad Etch and Sketch? Because you could have done that with so many different things, but you did iPad Etch and Sketch, which is the best. That's the best line to put in there.
Yeah. Well, I had different variations of it, but I think that just popped in my head one day, and I was just like, because I had to think of something popular. Like, everybody knows what an iPad is.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, what about a Panasonic 4K Blu-ray player versus a VHS player? People are like, what? Like, I understand that joke, but like, it had to be something that everyone else completely would get. So like, everyone knows what an iPad is. Mostly everyone knows what Etch-a-Sketch is. They're both something that you hold in your hands kind of the same way.
Yeah.
And so, let's say they're relatively the same size, kind of the same way you hold it in your hands. But if someone put that in your hands, like it's $800, you'd be like, get the fuck out of here, So it was basically, I was trying to like be like, oh, you got an English degree diploma in your hands. It's like, that's a fucking Etch-a-Sketch. It's like everybody else is walking across the stage getting iPads, and you're walking around with Etch-a-Sketch.
And then you do something that appeals to my sense of humor. I want to know if this was something that was just on the spot, or this has just been something you've done it all the time, because I can't remember if you do. Because you talk about Etch and Sketch, and people start laughing, then you're like, I like it, red, knobs. Like you say, I like when you do, like, knobs. You're like, I like knobs, or whatever you say, which is, I love that part. Like, did that just come in your head as you were just telling that joke in that clip, or have you been like, that works, I can do red and I like knobs, and people will laugh harder if I say that?
I think I just improv that one night.
Okay.
And I was like, I was imitating the guy making the decision. like he's at Best Buy and he's trying to make the decision. So he's like, he knows the smart thing to do is to get the iPad, but he's like, but I do like the color red. So it was kind of like making fun of the people where it's just like, well, I really enjoyed reading Hamlet, so I'm going to go get the English degree, So it's like, they're like talking themselves into being poor, or getting like the lesser product.
And then
it's like the iPad doesn't have knobs. Yeah.
And then you follow the David James formula with the punchline beatdown, where you're like, And then when you're doing the graduation walk, and you're like, and you do English major, and you're like, oh no, you do modern dance. I'm sorry, you do modern dance, and you're like, you're in alcoholism, assistant manager, and enterprise rent-a-car. Where did you get those from? I mean, those make perfect sense, but like, how did you get all those together in one thing?
It's actually funny if I have rental car people in the audience when I say that, and they all just start pointing at each other. And the rental car people will laugh at that joke big time. They'll all start pointing at each other. I think that came directly from experience. When I first graduated, I had to be a social worker in Chester, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chester.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah,
Chester's right where 95 and 476.
No, my wife and I went to some soccer games.
I was a social worker in the city. So I was a social worker in the city of Chester, making $24,000 a year, which they bumped up to $28,000 a year after 6 months.
And you're in Chester.
And I was working with child abuse cases.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was working with people who would throw scalding hot water on their children and wonder why they had to be had a case involved.
And I want to show. So did all of that come together at once, or that whole joke from like the clearance rack to the picking of the degrees to the etch and sketch to the graduation walk and the rundown of the future jobs? Did that come as a timeline? And that's one of the examples of, you said etch and sketch. Oh, that hit hard. I'm going to run real quick after the show and write down etch and sketch in my Google Notes. Was that an example, or did it all come in one big bulk at the beginning? And that joke has pretty much been unchanged since day one.
That particular bit came together relatively quickly.
Okay.
There's been minor changes here and there, but as far as like the gist of it, like it was pretty much like bang, bang, bang as soon as I started thinking about it.
Okay. You know. So when you do back to that example that you have when you have something that hits and you want to go write it down, when you're done with your set and you leave, do you immediately run somewhere where no one will bother you, or do you go somewhere if someone comes up to you, or you like, dude, just give me a couple minutes, I need to get my notes in order, or can you like have a conversation and then still remember? Like, how do you do that from the time that you end your set but you want to get all the good stuff on your Google Notes? Like, how do you do that with people coming up to you?
As long as I do it within 24 hours, I'll be fine.
Wow.
But so I don't need to like run into a corner and be like, oh my god, this is a kind of thing.
Okay.
Because some people work like that, but it's always annoying to me where you're just trying to like hang out or whatever, and like someone's just like look into their notebook and like, hey, how you doing? My name's David. No, not right now. I got a fucking that kitten joke. I remember the kitten joke because before I said like pa, and then sometimes I say purr, and people are like more purr. So I gotta it's like, oh, fucking burn your notebook. So I don't want to be one of those people where it's like I don't have to like run away immediately like I have a memory disorder.
Okay. No, clearly you. I mean, dude, I feel like you're some kind of savant where you just have like this iron trap mind where you don't write anything down, but your whole act is like. Your whole hour is like 416 different punchlines, and somehow you know the exact order of. I can't relate at all. All my stuff is written down because I won't ever remember. But so the second joke you do about the you're mentoring you're working with the juvenile delinquents. So all your jokes seem to come from personal experience. That's a fair statement, right? Because you do talk about like dating troubles, and you talk about working with kids. You talk about your one testicle. So you do, but you don't do jokes about your childhood. Is that shit just too painful to get? You don't want people to know about that. You don't think it's what is the hard line where it's like I'm talking only about adult shit that I'm going through that's funny, not about kid shit that I went through that's funny. That pain is for a whole other area.
It's probably because it's probably because of this. It's annoying for me when people start like getting all emotional or like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened, Yeah. And so like that's why I don't talk about childhood that much in comedy, or even if I'm like friends with people, I don't really say that much about it. Like I don't talk about being a social worker and the child abuse cases.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't talk about working in drug court and, you know, the overdoses, people dying and all this other stuff. So it's annoying for me when people are like, of course they're supposed to feel, but like, it's like, I'm trying to go somewhere fun. With the get up past sensitive and get off for me being able to get to the funny of it, then it's annoying for me, you know?
Yeah.
So that's probably why. I mean, I could probably sit down and think of some things, you know, but it's just like, I hate and then like, you know, instead of being like, hey, great set or something like that, I'd be like, did that really happen? You know, even a story about getting a testicular torsion, people will ask if that really happened. Yeah. I was up there for an hour talking about all types of shit, but that's the one thing you would be like, oh my God, did you make that up? Yeah, I made a fucking story as losing a testicle as a child to get laughs. Yeah, that's what I did.
So let's say you're walking down the street and you come up with like the most fantastic joke that there ever was about being put in a special ed class just because you were black. Are you like, I'm just not going there. I'm just gonna I got my own chuckle out of it, and it just goes out that's too much for me. If you had a great joke or a great joke about, you know, your mom, you know, your mom having, you know, 3 different partners, or maybe your stepmom being mean and abusive to you. If you had just the perfect punchline, would you self-sabotage yourself and purposely not do it?
I would. For some reason, I guess, like, for comedy, my mind just hasn't gone to that stuff, even though I could, if I made myself sit down and think of funny stuff like that about the girl finger banging herself, you know, you know, yeah, I could go do jokes about all of that stuff, you know, but for some reason, it's just like, there'll be other topics that I guess I'm more excited about.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, I understand. And that's fine. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just curious.
No, but it's also, no. But I mean, I totally get what you're saying. You're like, I didn't know any of this stuff about you. How come you're not doing it on stage? Or how come, like, you know, so it's like, I get your perspective of it. Like, and plus I've had people say that, like, well, aren't you talking about any of that stuff, you know? So I've had several people say that to me.
Well, so I was talking to Eric Terrell, and I go, why do you talk about stuff that happened to your life? Why don't you just make, like, oh, you saw a funny sign, and you just make a joke about that, or you had a weird interaction at a park? Why don't you talk about that? He goes, well, it's the difference between being liked and loved. If I talk about myself more, people will love me more for it. Do you agree with that? Is it because of that and your emotional shutdown that you purposely want to keep people at arm's length?
No, it's like I don't have a problem with that. It's more like as far as keeping people, it's more like a like the love thing. It's like, for me, it's like, if they think you're funny, they're gonna love you anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, you know?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know. And it's like, as far as like I guess the difference between being liked and loved, it's like, that isn't a huge thing for me.
Okay.
It's more like I'm more of a picky person. So it's like, you know, if I'm cool with somebody, it's like, I'm already investigating you in my mind. Like, the moment I meet you, I'm already starting to investigate and put judgment. You know, and I'm letting you talk, and you have no idea that I'm picking you apart in my mind as we go along. Okay. You know, so there's not. So that's one thing I say I got from my dad. So it's like, I guess I value genuineness more than popularity, if that makes sense. Okay. And it's probably why I suck at social media, because so much of it is not genuine to me, and I don't put much effort into it because of that.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I wanted to ask you this question, and some conversations I've had with some of the other comics I've had prior to you with is doing jokes in a predominantly white audience, and doing jokes in a predominantly black room. Or do you kind of stay away from any kind of like racial stereotypes if you're doing like maybe a majority black room kind of thing? I'm just always interested to know these kind of things.
I don't change my bits. Okay. I don't change my bits. Okay.
And do they receive? Is it received well?
If I do, the only thing I might do is change the if I'm doing like the fuck was that called? Shit. I don't remember what it's called anymore. You talk to the audience. Crowd work. There you go.
It's been so long.
What's that thing? So I might change crowd work, or I might change the beginning of the show if I'm just like ranting or improvising at the beginning of the show before I get to my bits. But as far as the wording of bits, no, because it's for me, it's like I have to bring them into my world and my sense of humor.
Yeah.
And if they don't get on board, fuck. You know, I mean, I'll have certain things. The only thing I've noticed, if I go to, let's say, doing the suburbs, and I'll do, you know, and it's pretty much all fucking white people.
Yep.
You know, if I do anything like I have a joke about hooking up at the training. Yeah. You know, and then and telling her to help me make the bed in the morning. You know, so I'll do that joke and the beginning of it, like, the white people in the suburbs, like, yeah, goddamn trains, trying to use our bathrooms, because they don't know where the punchline's going. So they're all, like, all Republican dumb. And then the joke ends up being, like, a fucking, you know, like a surprise on purpose. Yeah. You know, and they see their faces change, you know. But some black people will look at you just because, like you said, like, a lot of my jokes are just rants and punchlines, and then the next topic will have nothing to do with the previous topic. Yeah. You know? Okay. And so I'll get a lot of older black people who are used to like stool humping and you got to wash your ass and smoke weed. Like, since I don't have that style, they're just looking at me like, you know, it's a lot of like, you need help kind of thing. You know, they just look at me like I need help. Yeah, but it's because they've been conditioned to a certain type of comedy. Is there a room you prefer to tell jokes in? Do you prefer to tell jokes in a majority white crowd? Or you prefer to tell jokes in a predominantly black crowd? Doesn't matter to me, really. Okay. I was interested because I know some people that say they prefer a black room because it's harder, but like I actually got the opposite. Some of the black comics I talked to said that their jokes work better in white rooms, but they said they wish it worked better in the black rooms. That's what I've seemed to be, and I was wondering if your answer was going to be similar, but it seems not to be similar. It seems to be it doesn't matter. No, so like for example, like at Helium or something like that. Like I've worked with like the whitest comics ever, and I've also worked with like black comics in that room where it's just like 95% black crowd, and it's like I'm not changing a damn thing. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna say what I want to say, and sometimes it might take them like 5 minutes to get on board until they realize that this is my style and you're going to be seeing a different type of show than what you might be accustomed to seeing. But the end result is the same as any other room, if that makes sense. By the time I'm done, the result's the same. Okay. If that makes sense. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Cool. Is there material that you won't do? Jokes, subject matter you won't touch, or is everything fair game? The only subject matter I won't touch is something that's been talked about already. Okay. Like beat to death. Okay. I don't do Trump stuff, politics, like everyone's doing that. Like late night talk shows, like they have excellent writers who that's all they have the job to talk about and write jokes about, Yeah. Sorry. So it's like Colbert, Daily Show, stuff like that. Like people have already done that and are doing it on a nightly basis, so there's no point. Okay. Okay. Or something I feel like that's been beaten to death. I won't do that. Okay. Going back to your answer to your first one, I just wrote down. Pre-COVID, how many times a week do you get up on average? Average week, average number of times you get up, do a set. Before COVID, it was probably like 2 or 3 times a week, but that's like I wasn't going to any open mics or anything like that. So of course it could have been more, but I was just like, no, I'm just going to my paid shows. Yeah. Someone like you, I feel like, is not needing an open mic unless you are absolutely desperate for something. But okay, cool. I want to talk about the album. So first of all, what does the album mean to you? Like, why did you decide to do an album after 15 years in the game? Basically, a lot of my friends are telling me I should. I think you were one of the people who were asking me if I was going to do one. Well, it was just a flawless Yeah, a lot of people are kind of bugging me to do it. And so I said, I was like, oh, why not? Because I was like, oh, no one's going to show up, and all that other shit that goes through your head, And And so it's just like, nah, I'll just fucking schedule it and just whatever. You know, whoever shows up. And
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Now, was your album just a one-time deal, like a one-shot, or was it 2 shows, and then you spliced them together for the album?
It was basically one show, but a couple tracks I took from featuring from like a month before that.
Okay.
Like maybe 2 tracks, but like there weren't any tracks that bombed.
Yeah.
So like it was basically just like I might have missed a word or missed something in the recording, and so I was like, oh, I missed that. And so actually the clip that I sent you, I think that version is different from the album version.
Okay.
Because there's actually the album version, there's some punchlines I fucked up and I missed in the album version. But people don't realize it's basically just extensions. It's more, remember you said like it's punchline after punchline after punchline?
Yeah.
Like that one was like punchline instead of punchline.
Yeah.
So I forgot like a couple of tags or whatever. But like unless you knew the bit word for word, people weren't going to notice.
Yeah. I love the album title. And if anyone listens, I'm gonna include a link to your out there where they can download it on Amazon and iTunes, so that anyone who hears this can click on it, because it's a great. I mean, I've listened to it a million times. I went out to Chicago this past weekend, and last weekend, and I heard it going there on the way back, and that was like the 4th and 5th time I've heard the album already. It's called Kidnapping Season. I love the joke it's based off of about you dating a Nigerian girl, so this is just kind of going back to kind of like the formula to write jokes. When you were with this girl and she tells you this, does that automatically in your head go, this is a joke, or is it not until later that you digest what she had just said to you and you're like, this is funny?
The only jokes that I've had that were instant were there was a girl who she was like trying to seduce me, and she goes, I'm gonna have you so memorized.
Oh yeah.
Instead of mesmerized.
Yeah.
And as soon as she said it, I was like, I'm fucking writing that shit down. She said memorized. Yeah, but there's not a lot of. You know what's funny? The only other joke I had that was instant that I ended up losing was I was watching Gladiator with my roommate. Yeah. And he's like, hey, when would you like to time travel? And I was like, he goes, I think I would go back to the Roman Coliseum to see like these fights. And I said, well, pretty much as a black person, I'm pretty much limited to anything after 1982. You know, I think I said at 1984. I was like, when did Thriller come out? Like right around Thriller, they started saying, black people might be okay. And I said anything after that. And so I started writing this whole thing about I can't time travel. Then I see Louis C.K. special talking about how great it is to be white, that you can time travel back to the year 2 and they have a table for you.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, fuck. I mean, that's funny. But it was like, yeah, so like some things are instant. It was like, oh, that's going to be fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, dude, it's a great album, man. I'm so happy you did it. Now, what's your thing now? Like, so when you come out to Hershey, are we going to see that album, or are you going to be like, it's now my job to get new material as fast as possible so that I can sell the album at the show and it's not the same stuff? Like, what's your thought process with new material now that you just did this album?
I don't think I'm going to be pressured to be having new material for a while as far as self-pressure.
Okay.
Just because it's like, for how my process works, getting new jokes is almost impossible right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I could write stuff down. I mean, I put a Hershey or a punchline or whatever and you know, do a 45 minutes of new stuff, but it's like I have no idea, you know, what's going to happen with it. So it's like, these are like, it's one of those things where it's like, artistically, I'd love to do that, you know, but it's just like, oh, these are paying people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, you know, everybody from every show I go to from now on is people have listened to my album, like, you know, 30 times before I go there.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? So it's like, plus like the album, like I did like an hour and 15, an hour and 20 on stage.
Yeah.
But the album's like 55 minutes.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of stuff that I cut out of it.
Okay.
You know, so then there was stuff that I didn't even make it to the cutting board as far as like being on the list of doing an album. So, you know, it's like, I feel comfortable doing a mix, you know, but it's just like, it's hard for me to really know what works because there's no shows to go do them on, before you go do a certain show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Well, dude, I'm so happy you did it, dude. I can't wait to see you in Hershey. Hopefully nothing crazy happens between now and then. The other thing I want people to check out is your driving in Philly videos, which are absolutely amazing. I love the voice. I love that. I don't know why you stopped doing. I guess you stopped driving Uber, so that kind of goes out the window. No, but you can still do it. You still have the equipment, right? Yeah.
Actually, I have probably about 30 minutes of footage in the archives that I haven't used yet.
I mean, it's perfect.
So I might go back to it.
I love the voice.
Yeah.
I love everything else, man. Just a last couple things here. Have your mom and dad ever seen you perform live?
My dad saw me once at the DC Improv years ago, probably at least 10 years ago. And my mom has seen me in San Antonio, probably at least 10 years ago. Yeah.
Do you hope that they see you again
By
too?
the way, my mom skipped tracks on the album.
What do you mean she just didn't want to?
She thought if I was going to use vulgar language or go into a dirty place, she would skip the track and not finish listening to it. Yeah. But there's the support.
Good old moms. Cool, man. Is there anything else that you wanted to? I mean, I could talk to you for like another hour and a half, man. I mean, there's so much stuff here. But is there anything else that you wanted to plug, like a website or anything that I could add to the video? Whenever there's anything else you want people to know about besides your album, besides your YouTube channel?
Nothing really. I mean, Facebook is David James Comedy, and YouTube is David James Comedy, and Instagram is D James Comedy.
Yeah.
But I should be starting a podcast within a couple weeks.
Awesome.
We're ironing it out, and then I think I'm just going to start delving into a lot of video stuff.
Good.
Stand-up is dead.
Good. I hope you do, man, because your stuff's always up, dude. Even your Instagram with the poster next to the punchline Philly, the missing cat.
Yeah.
That's what I so much appreciate of you. Is just like you are pointing out shit that is just right there, and nobody fucking sees it. That's the genius of David James. And I'll leave it on this because I'm just curious. Why do you go by David James? That's not your real name on stage. Why don't you go by your actual real name? Is there a reason behind that? We don't have to say your real name if you don't want to.
I did. Well, when I first started, I was doing social work, and so I guess I kind of had a government county job or whatever. So I was like, let me just use a different last name instead of my real last name. Just because of that reason. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish now that you don't have a government job anymore? Do you wish you could go by your real name, or are you cool just doing David James?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good, dude.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing everything. This was perfect. It's exactly what I thought would come of this video series, is what this whole 2 hours was about. So thank you so much, man. Dude, take care. I look forward to seeing you in person, hopefully very soon. And good luck at the punchline, man.
Cool, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, we'll see. I gotta try to get my shit together before then.
Oh, I'm sure people will come out. I'm sure people are gonna come out.
No, I feel like I'm gonna stutter through everything. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but crowds, I feel like should expect some kind of there should be like a little bit of a leniency kind of deal. So, but dude, thank you so much again. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Later, buddy.
See you, buddy. Bye. Hey, Portal, hang up.
Well, that's it. That's our episode for this week. That's our talented David James, one of the best comics again in Philadelphia. Truly a Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia comedian. You can catch David and I actually this Saturday at the Vineyard and Brewery at Hershey. We'll be on a show together down there. I'll put links to that in the show notes as well for whatever tickets are remaining at this point that you see this. I truly appreciate David coming and doing this with me. I was humbled that he agreed to do this to begin with because I look up to him so much as a comic and respect what he does. David is truly his jokes are like truly like a Gatling gun of punchlines, or he just like hammers like so many different punchlines into one premise. It's unbelievable. So it's great to get to diagnose how he's able to do that. I hope you had as much fun with this interview as I did, and really got to know David in a different light than I think most people get to. If you enjoyed this interview, please share it. Please subscribe to this channel. Please comment. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Take care.